Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hearthstone Meta Hype. I'm here with Ekor, and we are going to talk about what legendary cards you should craft. And don't worry, we're going to get into that right now with Ekor. What's your card, man? What's your first card?
First card I have is Belinda Stonehearth. And this is a card that on Twitter, and when I initially did my review, because it came out before the big spells, I was like, this card's maybe like a 3 at best. And then they came out with so many big spells. They came out with 1, 2, 3. They came out with at least 2 new big spells. They came out with the card that'll draw you a ton of big spells. Actually, 3 big spells. And you already got a couple of big spells from the mini set that almost got Mage there, but wasn't quite good enough. And then the new hero that'll just recast all of your big spells. And pair this with a legendary that'll draw you 2 big spells and reduce their cost to 5. While also increasing its stats based on the mana cost of the cards that you drew. Next thing you know, you're gonna get a 6 mana, like 9/7 that also drew you 2 5-cost giant spells. I think that because of the support Big Mage got, this card went from like meh to really good over the course of like a week.
Yeah, Belinda Stonehearth, I mean, this is a crazy card. It's gonna be good in Big Mage, and I'm looking forward to it as well. And I got a legendary also that I think is just kind of weird. It was one that, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, this is awful. And then I kind of started to think about it, and that one is Ibis. Have you seen Ibis?
Yeah.
Ekor?
I saw him. People were talking about him, saying he was the next Ziliax, and I was like, absolutely not. But what are your thoughts about it?
I agree that he's not the next Ziliax, but Ibis is the Forest Lord, and this is a neutral card, which can be played in just about any deck. I think it slots in well. You definitely don't want to play this one on turn 1. But one of the things that I like about it is the fact that it has the battle cry that spend the rest of your mana and gain +2/+2 rush, divine shield, or taunt at random for each. So it's a really cool card that can kind of play situationally. I mean, you could play it definitely on turn 2, 3, 4, pretty much any turn. And what I like about it is the effect, that if you get the right effect, it might help you clear a board. It also will establish some kind of board presence. The one question I had about it, though, was, is the +2/+2 automatic, or is it just the rush, divine shield, taunt that is random? Like, what is the deal with that? Do you know?
They're all random because it says +2/+2, rush, divine shield, or taunt. So it's one of those 4 options, and I'm assuming you can't get like rush twice or divine shield twice or taunt twice, because that would make the card awful. Because let's just say you like roll rush, and you get nothing. But I'm pretty sure it's random each time. So on turn like 3. You play this card, it'll spend your other 2 mana, and then it might get +2/+2, and then rush. And it'll be a 3 mana, 3/3 rush minion, or a 3 mana, 1/1 divine shield taunt minion. Which is why I really don't like this card. Because just saying that out loud, a 3 mana, 1/1 divine shield taunt minion, there's literally already a divine shield taunt minion in the game with 1/1 stats. And it's in Paladin, and it's 1 mana. You could basically get the exact same thing for 2 mana less than what Ibis would do. Also, it's random, and I don't know. I really don't like Ibis. I think that he'll be good sometimes, and he could be a good like later game card to play to spend your mana on if you don't have anything. But like until turn 5, it's just not worth it. And then even then, the stats are only kind of okay to spend all of your mana on this one card. And best case scenario, get like a 5 mana 9/9. Like, that is good, don't get me wrong. But that's like best case scenario. Or 5 mana 7/7 divine shield, that's actually really strong as well. But like until turn 5, it's pretty useless.
Yeah. But it's a card, though, that you could play like on any turn. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you, let's say that you want to tempo something out, right? And you tempo out like you had 7 mana, you could go like 4 and Ibis.
Yeah.
And get something, right?
Yeah, he's flexible. So he's gonna see play, and he's gonna be like a legendary you can tech in. But I don't think he's ever gonna be like the star of a deck. I feel like when I rated him 3, maybe 3.5, like he's okay. He'll be played. I just don't see him being that strong. He's more of just a filler card that like, oh, I have some mana left over. Let's play a decently statted minion. I feel like that's all he'll be.
All right, well, tell us what you really think about Ibis. Anyway, no.
Dude, it just pissed me off when everybody was like, this is going to be the next Zilliax. And I'm like, no, Zilliax is
no.
so much better.
I can agree with you there, man, but I think it's going to be a cool card. All right, well, what's your card, man?
The next card that I'm going to talk about is going to be Keratin Fleet Runner. Maybe I pronounced the name wrong. I'm sorry, but it's the 5-mana 5/5 rogue card. Battlecry, replace your minions in hand and deck with ones from another class, and they cost 2 less. So it's just going to be a ton of random stuff, but they're going to be much cheaper. So let's just say you have a handful of minions, right? You play this. You get Demon Hunter as your random class, or some Demon Hunter cards. Next thing you know, you have multiple big demons from Demon Hunter reduced by costing 2, and you just play them. Or you'll, just get garbage. But I'm trying to think of the memes and the clickable content, and where you'll get like insane hands. Most of the time I feel like this card will just end up being okay. Some good, some bad. And as you draw through your deck, it'll be some good, some bad cards. But I'm thinking about when you get that really chef's kiss, giant high roll, and you get some of the best cards imaginable. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a super fun card. It is my content card, the one that I would recommend you crafting if you have a little bit of extra dust and you want to have a good time. This is the card.
All right. You heard it here first. I mean, because now we're going to get in the comments where there's like, I can't believe that he's getting me to do that card. Oh, my goodness gracious. That card is, I mean, how dare you? Like, but I totally agree. I mean, let's have fun in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Like,
Hearthstone's a game. It's supposed
right?
to be fun. Let's have some fun and play Thief Rogue.
Carrot Thief, Fleet Runner, baby. That's some random kind of meme type craziness that we got going on. So less of a meme card, and that would be Korak, the Blood Rager. This is the 4-mana 3/5, the Death Rattle. If this wasn't honorably killed, resummon Korak, which that sounds pretty good. All right, what do you think about that?
I think it's a pretty solid card, actually. When I initially saw it, I was like, maybe it'll be okay. I gave it like a 4 out of 5, I think. Like, it'll be good. But I actually think, after looking at it a little bit more, that it'll be quite strong. Like, you could play this in even like a more aggressive deck and just have it be like an unkillable minion. Or you could play this in a control deck and then have it constantly trade into minions. So that way you can also resummon it. So it could like do damage to maybe a big taunt minion, and then you can finish it off with something else, and you resummon it. I think that this card will be very, very strong, or has the potential to be. Sometimes, you'll play it, your opponent will just deal 5 damage to it, and you'll be like, well, that sucked. But I think that a lot of the time, doing exactly 5 damage will be a little bit awkward to come by, at least in some cases. So I think that it'll be a pretty solid, sticky card that'll be really annoying, for sure. I actually, after looking at it more, have a higher opinion about it now than I did at the beginning. What about you?
Well, I think it's great there. The question I had for you, and I think this reads right, is that if it's not honorably killed, it resummons Korak. Would that mean that it would be on your side as well, too? So if you jam it into something...
Yeah, I would assume so. If you're the one that rams Korak into something else and it dies... It's a death rattle, so it'll trigger regardless of whose turn it is.
Right, so that's pretty sick, right? Because then you always have something on the board.
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate value trading card. And if it is not honorably killed, it reappears, and this is a sick card.
I think so too. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah. Like, the more I thought about it in the applications, I was like, oh, well, you can use it this way, or you can use this in like an aggro deck and just have it be like your top end sticky minion that never dies, or you could use it as a way to trade into opponent's minions and make sure you keep a minion on the board, or It forces your opponent to have very specific removal or trade a very specific way, which could like buy you a turn. There's a whole bunch of stuff that this card could do. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a teaser element here, is that I do know what cards that Ecor is going to pick because we went over this before, and so I got to give this a little teaser here. This is probably the most powerful card in the set. Fight me now, Ecor. Which one is it?
Xyrella the Devote. It is the new priest hero legendary. It is an 8 mana that says battle cry, trigger the death rattle of every friendly minion that died this game. And I think that with the meta probably slowing down, considering there is like Thief Rogue, which is historically like kind of slow-ish because you have to build up the thief stuff. There's a lot of new hero cards. Most of the legendaries are, well, a decent amount of the legendaries are fairly expensive. There's big Spell Mage that's being pushed, big Demon Hunter being pushed. Point is, the meta is becoming a lot slower, which makes me think that a giant death rattle like this that recasts all of the death rattles that were triggered this game could be really, really strong. You just play a ton of giant death rattle minions, you know, like Plagued Proto Drake and the Morg Forge Fiend, and even the 6/6 that heals you 8. And next thing you know, on turn 8, well, not turn 8, but when you play this, even if those are the only 3 minions that you played that game, right, or that died that game, you're still getting a 7/7 and healing like 16 HP, as well as getting 5 armor and a new hero power that it'll either do 5 or heal 5 damage, and it'll change every turn. Like, this card is just going to be so versatile. I'm excited for it. What about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm definitely not excited about the card to play against it, but I'm definitely excited to play the card. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think that it's going to be one of those cards that a lot of people are going to be really triggered, right? Battlecry, trigger the death rattle of every friendly minion that died this game. How about trigger the triggers of all the triggered people in the community who are going to be like, oh my god, this card is insane, I hate playing against it. It's a trigger card. So it's kind of crazy. It's very good. It's good to see these kind of big cards that do these type of things. I shall say though that I'm kind of like, oh man, I'm not sure they should have created this card, but I can't deny its strength. That's just where I'm at.
I mean, to be fair, this card isn't even going to be played until turn 10 or after, because you have to have played the big Death Rattle minions and have them die before you can even play Xyrella. Like, this card is going to be a card, that you play probably around, I have the, like, hiccups or something, that you will probably play around turn, like, 12 to 15, right? Like, it's going to be a very late game card. And yes, you could actually synergize it with other things as well. You could synergize it with the new Amulet of Undying, resummon Death Rattles that'll then die, and then that'll just increase the pool of Xyrella. Like, this is going to be a giant bomb late game card, but that's all it's going to be. And since the games will last till turn like 12 to 15, I don't think I'll ever have a problem with it. Like, I'll find it annoying, but if I couldn't end the game or do something, I put myself in a winning position by turn 15, and then this thing gets played and it absolutely, like, destroys me. It's going to be the same thing with the Mage Legendary, or the Mage Hero. Recast a spell from each spell school you've cast this game. It'll just recast all of them. Well, not all of them, but, like, several of your big spells, and just do tons of damage. Like, I think that those two cards are, like, people are going to be annoyed or think they're overpowered, but you also have to think these cards are going to come out super late in the game.
Yet to be seen. Let's bookmark this right now, and then we'll revisit this part in 30 days. I think we should, definitely.
Like, how strong was it?
Okay, last but not least, and this card definitely is really super strong too, is Shadow Crafter Scabs. This is the 7 mana, 5 armor, which is the battle cry, return all minions to their owner's hands, summon 2 4/2s, shadows with stealth. Crazy card. I just want to get right to Ecor. What do you think about this?
I think this is the best hero. I think this is the best one revealed. It's turn 7, it's basically Rogue's only board wipe. It could return a ton of big minions. It gets rid of all buffs. It gets rid of all mana cheat things. So let's just say you were playing against a guy playing Vander, right? And he reduced the cost of some of his big demons in Demon Hunter. It gets rid of that. They're now their original cost. It gets rid of all of the buffs from Paladin. It can get rid of Legions of Wisdom. It is a board wipe against like an aggro deck. You can overfill an opponent's hand if they're playing like aggro druid, and next thing you know they're going to overdraw a card and lose a ton of stuff. Not to mention that at the end you also get an 8/4 with stealth. So essentially this is, you get 8/4 stats, wipe the board, mess up your opponent's entire tempo. It's not going to hurt you as bad because Rogue likes getting minions back into its hand for combos and cheap minions. You gain 5 HP, and then you get a new hero power that makes your cards cost, or the next card you play, cost 2 less every turn. So you're going to be able to just play more and more stuff and combo out more and more stuff every single turn. I think this card is the best hero, but I don't know if it'll really see the play it deserves, because I think that Rogue didn't really get much this expansion. Like, Thief Rogue's good. We talked about that. But I don't think Rogue saw enough support this expansion to see Scabs played consistently. Like, I don't think he's strong enough to single-handedly win games, like some of the other heroes, like Xyrella. Like, that one will just win the game and you play it. But this one, it's like, you play it, and it like, if you were losing tempo already, it becomes really good. Or, but before that, sorry, you needed to have like some tempo going, or you need to have some sort of direct damage follow-up play to finish him off with Scabs. I don't know. I feel like this card, or the card alone is good, but I think Rogue is still going to be kind of bad, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there's a thing called Quest Rogue, and I think this card slots in perfectly into Quest Rogue. So
fair enough. Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, you could just put this in there, and now you have a late game. There's a card that used to be in the meta that a lot of people hated, and it's now in Wild. Remember Vanish? Vanish was a 6-mana. It's a 7-mana Vanish with the idea that you get the 8/4s.
And a new hero power, which is better than the original one. Like, it's so good.
It's just those 2 minions alone that drop down on the board with the 8/4. You can't kill them unless you have an area of effect spell, right? So you only have to really put up a taunt. That's the only way that you really could defend against them, unless you have an area of effect spell and a taunt. It's almost guaranteed to do 8 damage on the next turn. So it's such a great closing card. And that was one of the things in general that the Quest Rogue kind of lacked a little bit, was some closing power. You sort of needed to have like the Battlegrounds Battlemaster or something like that in there to do some big damage. I think this is the card that...
And this will help with that for sure.
Yeah, so having said that, we are the Hearthstone Meta Hype, and we've been doing this show now for like a year and a half. We've been really consistent in doing it, and we love doing it with you guys and for you guys and chilling out. I love hanging out with Ecor because he's just so damn smart. I mean, the guy is, look at him. He's just so smart. Oh my gosh. What a scholar. What an honor and a privilege to be here with Ecor. And you know what I say? Stay hyped, and we'll see you next week.